The impossible reading. The Galactic Empire had been preparing for war for months. Long-range scanners along the outer border were always active. Patrol fleets moved in strict patterns. Defense platforms waited in silent formation. The Empire believed humanity was growing too fast. Their technology had advanced quickly. Their shipyards were expanding. War felt inevitable. Inside the Imperial Command Station in Sector 9, alarms suddenly echoed through the control hall. Hyperspace signature detected. A sensor officer shouted. Every head turned toward the main screen. Admiral Rex stood from his command chair. How many ships? The officer checked the readings again. His eyes narrowed in confusion. Only one, sir. The hall became quiet. One. Rex repeated. Yes, Admiral. Single hyperspace exit. Large mass reading. Rex frowned. That is impossible. Rescan. The officer ran the scan again. The result did not change. Confirmed. One human vessel. The Empire had expected an invasion fleet. Intelligence reports had warned that humanity might strike first. War simulations showed hundreds of human ships attacking together. But only one signal appeared on the screen. Moments later, space itself rippled. A human warship exited hyperspace. It was not small. It was not weak. But it was alone. The ship moved slowly forward, calm and steady. No escort. No visible support. Admiral Rex narrowed his eyes. Full fleet mobilization. Surround it. Across the sector, Imperial warships powered engines and formed a massive ring around the lone human vessel. Heavy cannons charged. Missile bays opened. The human ship did not change course. Inside its bridge, Captain Adams stood quietly, watching the Imperial fleet form around him. His crew waited for orders, but he showed no fear. Distance to Imperial Command Fleet? He asked. 3,000 kilometers, his officer replied. Hold position. Back on the Imperial station, tension filled the air. Target locks ready, a weapons officer reported. Await my command, Rex said. The main display zoomed in on the human vessel. It had a smooth metallic surface, dark silver in color. No visible weapons were charging. No fighter craft deployed. No shields raised. It simply floated in the center of an entire Imperial armada. This makes no sense, one Imperial officer whispered. Rex agreed silently. No military force would send a single ship into enemy territory without backup. Unless it was bait. Or something else. Suddenly, a signal request appeared on the Imperial screen. Sir, the communications officer said carefully, the human ship is requesting direct contact. Rex stared at the message. They dare to talk? Yes, Admiral. The Imperial fleet tightened its formation. Cannons remained locked. Open the channel, Rex ordered. The main screen shifted. A human figure appeared.
Calm.
Steady posture. No sign of panic. This is Captain Adam of the United Earth Vessel Horizon, he said in clear, even tone. We come under peaceful intent. Several Imperial officers laughed softly. Peaceful? Surrounded by the full might of the Empire? Rex leaned forward. You cross into Imperial space with a warship and speak of peace? He demanded. The human captain did not react to the harsh tone. We crossed into this system because your fleets were mobilizing near our border, Adam replied. We wish to prevent unnecessary conflict. Rex's eyes hardened. You send one ship to prevent war? Yes, Adam said. Silence spread across the command hall. The Imperial officers expected fear. Begging.
Threats.
But the human captain showed none of those. Instead, he seemed certain. Rex gave a sharp order. Weapon status. All batteries charged, Admiral. Target the human vessel. Across the sector, hundreds of Imperial weapons locked onto the lone ship. Missile systems aligned. Energy cannons glowed bright red. Inside the human bridge, warning alerts flashed. Multiple target locks detected, Adam's officer reported. Maintain position, Adam replied calmly. You are not raising shields? Another crew member asked. Not yet. Back on the Imperial station, Rex gave a final warning. You're surrounded by over 300 warships. Leave immediately or face destruction. Adam met his gaze through the screen. If we intended war, he said quietly, we would not have come alone. Rex hesitated. For a moment, doubt touched his thoughts. But pride pushed it away. Fire a warning shot, he ordered. A single Imperial heavy cannon discharged. A bright beam of energy shot across space and struck the human vessel directly. On the Imperial display, the impact was clear. But something strange happened. The beam did not explode against a shield. It did not damage the hull. It simply disappeared. No flash. No debris. No visible effect. Sensor officers stared at their readings. Energy reading absorbed, one whispered. Impossible, another muttered. Rex stood slowly. What happened? We don't know, Admiral. On the human bridge, systems remained calm. Impact neutralized, an officer confirmed. Adam nodded slightly. Open channel again. The Imperial screen reactivated. Adam spoke with the same calm tone as before. We did not come to threaten you, he said. But we will not allow war to begin today. Around him, 300 Imperial warships waited. Weapons charged. Engines ready. Yet one truth had become clear. The Empire had prepared for an invasion fleet. They had braced for thousands. But they were not prepared for this. And the lone human ship had not even begun to move. A power they could not measure. The Imperial command hall was silent after the warning shot vanished. Hundreds of officers stared at their screens. Sensor data scrolled rapidly. Numbers did not make sense. Admiral Rex's voice cut through the silence. Report. A senior sensor officer swallowed. The energy beam made contact, sir. But it was not blocked by a shield. Then what stopped it? Rex demanded. It was absorbed. Murmurs spread across the hall. Absorbed? Rex repeated sharply. Yes, Admiral. The energy reading did not reflect, scatter, or explode. It simply disappeared at the point of impact. Rex looked at the human ship on the main display. It still floated calmly in the center of the Imperial formation. No visible shield bubble. No distortion field. Nothing. Inside the human vessel, Captain Adam remained steady. All systems stable, his engineer reported. External absorption grid functioning normally. Good, Adam replied. Continue passive stance. One of his officers leaned closer. Sir, they will fire again. Adam nodded slightly.
Yes.
But they must choose that. Back in the Imperial Hall, Rex's pride was wounded. The Empire had ruled the stars for centuries. No vessel had ever ignored their fire so easily. Full scan of the human ship, he ordered. Every spectrum. Scanning arrays intensified. Data flowed across large holographic screens. Power output increasing, an officer said nervously. Are they charging weapons? Rex asked.
No, sir.
The power is internal. We cannot identify its function. Another officer spoke, voice tense. Mass reading is unstable. It does not match the external size of the ship. Rex turned slowly. Explain. The vessel appears medium-sized, the officer said. But internal density readings suggest something much larger. As if space inside the ship is altered. The room grew uneasy. Impossible, someone whispered. But the numbers were clear. The human ship was not normal. Rex clenched his fists. Prepare a second strike. Increase output by 50%. Several officers hesitated. Admiral, one began carefully. If their technology is beyond our understanding. We are the Empire, Rex interrupted firmly. Fire. Across space, 10 Imperial heavy cannons ignited at once. Massive beams of red energy shot forward and struck the human vessel from different angles. For a brief second, the human ship was hidden behind blinding light. Then the light faded. The ship remained untouched. Sensors confirmed it again. Energy absorbed. No damage. No shield impact. No heat signature increase. Inside the human bridge, the crew watched calmly. Absorption grid at 40% capacity, the engineer reported. Within safe limits, Adam said. Should we respond? Another officer asked. Not yet. On the Imperial flagship, tension turned into fear. Energy lost, the sensor officer whispered. All of it. Rex's face hardened, but his thoughts raced. If this single ship could neutralize their strongest weapons, what would an entire fleet do? He opened the communication channel again. Human vessel, Rex said, voice colder than before. Identify the defensive system you are using. Adam appeared on screen, steady as ever. It is not a shield, he answered calmly. Then what is it? A spatial absorption field. Several Imperial officers looked confused. Adam continued. Your energy weapons rely on directed force across space. We simply remove the space in front of us. Silence followed. Rex stared at him. You expect us to believe you can alter space itself? Adam met his gaze. Yes. The Imperial officers checked their instruments again. Readings confirmed unusual gravitational distortions around the human vessel. One scientist whispered, localized space compression. Rex felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. You are surrounded, he reminded the human captain. You cannot win against this many ships. Adam answered without emotion. We did not come to win. Rex leaned forward. Then why are you here? To stop you from making a mistake. The words echoed in the command hall. Rex felt anger rise. You dare speak of mistakes? Adam's voice remained calm. If we wanted war, Admiral, we would not send one ship. The statement lingered heavily. Before Rex could respond, alarms suddenly rang across the Imperial fleet. Admiral, a tactical officer shouted. Our targeting systems are malfunctioning. Rex spun around. What? Multiple ships losing weapons lock. Fire control systems glitching. Across the sector, Imperial captains reported similar problems. Cannons powered down unexpectedly. Missile systems reset. Guidance computers displayed errors. What is happening? Rex demanded. Inside the human ship, Adam listened to incoming reports. Imperial weapon networks disrupted. His officer confirmed quietly. Duration? Adam asked. Temporary. 15 seconds.
Good.
Restore when complete. The Imperial fleet slowly regained control of their systems. But panic had already spread. Rex stared at the human vessel again. You interfered with our systems. Adam did not deny it. We demonstrated capability, he said simply. Rex felt the shift in power. The Empire had prepared for invasion. They had positioned fleets, charged weapons, and expected war. Instead, a single human ship had entered their territory, absorbed their fire, and temporarily disabled their armada, without firing a shot in return. The Imperial officers no longer looked confident. They looked unsure. Adam spoke once more. We do not seek to threaten your empire, but understand this clearly. His eyes were steady. We are not weak. The human ship remained motionless in the center of 300 warships. And for the first time in Imperial history, the Empire did not know what to do next. The fear of one ship. The Imperial fleet held its position. 300 warships surrounded a single human vessel.
But the feeling had changed.
Before, the Empire had felt strong. Now they felt uncertain. Inside the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes stayed fixed on the image of the human ship. Damage report, he said quietly. No physical damage to our ships, a tactical officer replied. But several systems experienced temporary shutdown. Rex turned sharply. Caused by the human vessel? Yes, Admiral. Signal interference originated from their position. Rex did not speak for a moment. One ship. Only one. And yet it had disrupted an entire fleet. Across the bridge, officers whispered to each other. If that was only a demonstration, what happens if they attack? Does humanity have more ships like this? Fear was spreading faster than logic. Inside the human vessel horizon, Captain Adams stood calmly at the center of the bridge. Imperial fleet holding formation, an officer reported. Good, Adams said. Sir, another officer asked carefully, should we show more capability? Adams shook his head slightly. Not unless force. The crew trusted him. They had trained for this mission for years. The ship was built for situations like this. It was not a battleship in the traditional sense. It was something else. Back on the Imperial flagship, Rex made a decision. Deploy interceptor squadrons, he ordered. Several officers looked surprised. Admiral, one asked. I want closer scans. Physical inspection range. Yes, sir. Moments later, dozens of small Imperial fighter craft launched from larger carriers. They moved carefully toward the human vessel. Inside the human bridge, warning indicators appeared. Interceptor craft approaching, the tactical officer said. Maintain position, Adam replied. The small fighters circled the horizon, scanning every inch of its surface. They are scanning hull composition, an officer said. Let them, Adam answered. Imperial pilots sent back data quickly. Hull material unknown. No visible weapon ports. Energy output rising internally. Rex listened carefully. What kind of ship hides its weapons? He muttered. One pilot flew closer than the others. Admiral, the pilot reported. There are distortions along the hull. Space itself looks uneven. Clarify, Rex demanded. It is hard to describe, sir. The ship does not appear fully inside normal space. Rex's heart tightened slightly. Pull back, he ordered. The interceptors retreated to safe distance. At that exact moment, every Imperial sensor flickered. Gravitational spike detected, someone shouted. The human vessel began to glow faintly along its edges, not with light, but with distortion. The space around it bent gently, like heat waves above fire. Inside the horizon, Adam gave a quiet command. Activate external field projection at 10%. Yes, Captain. Around the human ship, space curved visibly. Stars behind it shifted slightly from their normal positions. On the Imperial flagship, panic grew. Admiral, the ship is altering local gravity. Power output increasing rapidly. Is it charging a weapon? Rex asked sharply. No, it appears to be expanding its spatial field. Rex stared at the display. The human ship had not fired. It had not attacked. But it was demonstrating something far more terrifying.
Control.
Slowly, every Imperial warship within 5,000 kilometers felt the effect. Minor fluctuations in artificial gravity systems. Navigation computers adjusting for slight spatial distortion. Nothing destructive. Just enough to show that the human vessel could reach them. Adam's voice came through the communication channel again. This is not an attack, he said calmly. We're showing you a fraction of our defensive capacity. Rex replied with controlled anger. You invade our territory and call this defense? Adam answered without raising his voice. You mobilize fleets near our border first. Silence followed. Rex knew it was true. The Empire had prepared for war. Humanity had responded. But instead of sending thousands of ships, they had sent one. Suddenly, a new report came from a deep space sensor station. Admiral, a communications officer said urgently. Long-range scan confirms no additional human fleets within range. Rex turned slowly. None detected. He felt the weight of that information. The human ship truly was alone. This was not a distraction. Not a trap. Just one vessel standing against the Empire. Rex activated the channel again. You stand here alone, he said. If we overwhelm you with numbers, you cannot survive forever. Adam's eyes remained steady. Perhaps, he said simply. The simple answer unsettled the Imperial bridge more than any threat. Rex studied the human captain carefully. There was no panic in his face. No desperation. Only certainty. You are very confident for someone surrounded, Rex said. Adam replied calmly. We are confident because we understand what this ship can do. Rex's jaw tightened. And what can it do? Adam paused for a moment. Then he spoke clearly. It can end this battle in less than a minute. The words hung heavily in the air.
No one laughed this time.
No one dismissed the statement. Because after what they had already seen, they were not sure he was bluffing. The Imperial fleet held its weapons ready. The human ship held its position. The galaxy had never witnessed such a moment. 300 warships prepared for war, and one human vessel that did not fear them. The Empire had been ready for invasion. They had prepared for fleets. But they were not prepared for a single ship that did not need one. The order to fire. The silence between the fleets felt heavy. 300 Imperial warships floated in formation, weapons charged and ready. In the center of them all, the lone human ship remained still. Admiral Rex stood motionless on the bridge of his flagship. His officers waited for his command. Some were nervous. Some were angry. All of them were watching the human vessel. It can end this battle in less than a minute. The human captain's words echoed in Rex's mind. Bluff or truth? Rex could not tell. Admiral, a senior officer said carefully, the Emperor is requesting a live feed. The main screen changed. The image of the Emperor appeared, seated in the Grand Imperial Chamber. Report, the Emperor said calmly. Rex bowed slightly. A single human vessel entered our territory. It has demonstrated advanced spatial manipulation and weapon interference capabilities. And your assessment? Rex hesitated only briefly. It is highly advanced, possibly beyond our current understanding. The Emperor's eyes narrowed slightly. One ship. Yes, Your Majesty. And you have not destroyed it. Rex felt the pressure in those words. We fired twice. Our weapons were neutralized. The chamber behind the Emperor filled with quiet whispers. A single ship resists our fleet, the Emperor said slowly. And you hesitate. Rex kept his voice steady. The vessel claims peaceful intent. The Emperor leaned back. Peaceful intent is shown by retreat, not by invasion. Rex knew what was coming. Your orders, Majesty? The Emperor did not pause. Fire with full power. The screen went dark. On the Imperial Bridge, every officer felt the weight of that command. Rex turned to his fleet commanders. All ships. Prepare full synchronized assault. Across space, hundreds of Imperial cannons began to glow brighter than before. Massive capital ships shifted into perfect firing positions. Missile arrays opened in unison. Inside the human vessel horizon, warning alarms flashed across the bridge. Energy spike across entire Imperial formation, the tactical officer reported. This is not a warning shot. Captain Adam nodded slowly. Full assault? Another officer asked. Yes, Adam replied quietly. Should we activate offensive systems? Adam paused for a moment. Not yet. The crew exchanged brief looks, but trusted him completely. Outside, the Imperial fleet completed its formation. Target confirmed, an Imperial weapons officer announced. On my mark, Rex ordered. The countdown echoed across 300 ships. 3, 2, 1. Fire. The void of space exploded with light. Hundreds of heavy energy beams and thousands of missiles launched at once. It was the full power of an empire. From a distance, the human ship disappeared behind a wall of destruction. On the Imperial flagship, officers watched with intense focus. No ship could survive that, someone whispered. The attack lasted 10 full seconds. Then the firing stopped. Smoke and radiation clouded the area where the human vessel had been. Scan for debris, Rex ordered. Sensors reached forward through the fading energy storm. Then an officer gasped. Admiral, the ship is still there. The cloud cleared. The human vessel remained exactly where it had been. But something was different. A massive distortion field surrounded it now. Space itself looked bent and twisted, as if reality was folding inward. Imperial officers stared in disbelief. All energy readings from our attack are gone, a sensor officer said quietly. Gone, Rex demanded. Absorbed. Converted. We do not detect residual discharge. Inside the horizon, the engineer reported, absorption grid at 80% capacity. Energy reserves increasing. Adam nodded. Stabilize output. Yes, Captain. On the Imperial Bridge, fear was no longer hidden. They absorbed the entire fleet's firepower, an officer said in shock. That is impossible, another replied weakly. Rex stepped closer to the main display. The human ship began to glow faintly again. Not from damage, from power. Admiral, a scientist said nervously, the vessel's energy output now exceeds anything we have recorded. Are they preparing to fire? Rex asked. Unknown. But gravitational waves are forming. Inside the horizon, Adam finally gave a new order. Project Localized Gravity Pulse. Minimum force. Yes, Captain. A deep vibration rolled outward from the human ship. Across the Imperial fleet, every warship shook violently. Artificial gravity systems failed briefly. Navigation computers scrambled to adjust. Ships drifted slightly out of formation. Nothing exploded. Nothing was destroyed. But the message was clear. The human ship had touched every one of them at once. The pulse lasted only 5 seconds. Then space returned to normal. On the Imperial flagship, stunned silence filled the bridge. Weapons were still functional. Ships were still intact. But for a brief moment, the entire fleet had been powerless. Adam opened a communication channel. This demonstration is not an act of war, he said calmly. It is proof. Rex's voice was tight. Proof of what? That we could have destroyed your fleet. The statement felt heavy. Adam continued. We chose not to. Rex looked around his bridge. 300 warships. The pride of the Empire. All shaken by one vessel. You come alone, Rex said slowly. Why? Adam answered without hesitation. If humanity sends fleets, it means war. His eyes remained steady. If we send one ship, it means we are giving you a choice. The words hung in the air between them. The Empire had fired everything. The human ship had endured. And now, for the first time, Admiral Rex understood something clearly. This was not a scout. This was not a warning. This single ship was a message. And the Empire had just learned how powerful that message truly was. The demonstration of control. The Imperial fleet drifted in broken formation. 300 warships, powerful and proud, had just felt what it meant to be powerless. No ships were destroyed. No crews were lost. But every captain had felt their vessel shake under a force they could not stop. Inside the Imperial flagship, silence filled the bridge. Admiral Rex stood still, staring at the lone human ship on the screen. It had not moved. It had not fired a weapon. Yet it had shown complete control. Status report, Rex said quietly. Minor system failures across the fleet, a tactical officer replied. Gravity stabilizers temporarily disabled. Navigation recalibrating. Any permanent damage? No, Admiral. Rex understood what that meant. The human ship had chosen restraint. On the main screen, Captain Adam appeared again. We do not wish to destroy your fleet, he said calmly. If we did, this conversation would already be over. Rex forced himself to remain calm. You expect us to accept humiliation? He asked. This is not humiliation, Adam replied. It is prevention. Prevention. The word felt strange in a battlefield. Behind Rex, several officers whispered urgently. Admiral, we cannot allow this. They are testing us. We must respond with full force. Rex raised his hand for silence. Before he could speak, alarms suddenly echoed again. Admiral, a communications officer shouted. Multiple external contacts entering the system. Rex turned sharply. Identify. Unknown fleet. Hyperspace signatures detected beyond Imperial formation. The main screen shifted. Space rippled again, but this time not because of the human ship. Dozens. Then hundreds. Dark vessels emerged from hyperspace behind the Imperial fleet. They were not human. They were not Imperial. Their design was sharp and aggressive. Black holes covered with heavy weapons. Hostile configuration, a tactical officer confirmed. Rex felt cold realization. They waited, he whispered. The unknown fleet had chosen this exact moment. When the Empire was focused on the human ship. When formation was weakened. Inside the horizon, sensors reacted instantly. New fleet confirmed, the human tactical officer said. Size? Adam asked. 200 ships. Heavily armed. Adam studied the display. They were waiting for conflict between us, he said quietly. The unknown fleet opened fire immediately. Long-range missiles streaked toward the Imperial ships. The first explosions rocked the outer edge of the Imperial formation. "Return fire," Rex ordered. Imperial cannons responded, but coordination was broken. Ships were still recovering from the gravity pulse. The battle began chaotically. Inside the horizon, Adam made a decision. "Redirect absorption grid," he ordered. "Toward which target?" the engineer asked. "Imperial fleet." The officer blinked. "Sir, shield them." Without hesitation, the crew obeyed. The human ship shifted position slightly, placing itself between the attacking fleet and the Empire. A wide spatial distortion field expanded outward. Incoming enemy missiles bent away or vanished entirely as they entered the field. Imperial officers noticed immediately. "Admiral," one shouted, "the human ship is intercepting incoming fire." Rex stared in disbelief. "They are protecting us?" Heavy energy beams from the hostile fleet struck the distortion field and disappeared just like before. Adam's voice came through the open channel. "You have a choice," he said calmly. "Fight with us, or fight alone." Rex looked at the enemy fleet tearing into his outer defenses, then at the lone human ship absorbing fire meant for the Empire. He understood the situation clearly now. The human vessel had not come to threaten. It had come to stop a larger war. "All Imperial ships," Rex ordered firmly, "reform around the human vessel. Target the new hostile fleet." His officers hesitated only a second before acting. Imperial ships adjusted formation quickly, using the protection provided by the human ship's distortion field. For the first time, human and Imperial forces were aligned. The unknown fleet pressed forward aggressively. Their command ship moved to the front, firing massive plasma bursts. Inside the horizon, warning levels increased. "Absorption grid at 90% capacity," the engineer reported. Adam remained calm. "Prepare gravity lance." Several officers looked at him. "Confirmed, Captain." On the exterior of the human vessel, space began to twist in a focused line toward the hostile command ship. The distortion grew brighter. Rex watched closely. "What are they doing?" he asked. Before anyone could answer, a silent wave shot forward from the human ship. It was not light, not fire. It was space itself collapsing in a straight path. The wave struck the hostile command ship directly. For 1 second, the massive dark vessel froze. Then it folded inward, crushed by gravity from every direction. The ship imploded silently. No explosion, no debris. It simply vanished. Across the battlefield, the hostile fleet lost coordination instantly. Without their command ship, formation broke. Imperial cannons fired in organized volleys. The remaining hostile vessels began retreating in panic. Within minutes, hyperspace signatures flashed as they escaped. The system grew quiet again. The Imperial fleet remained intact,
Protected. Saved.
by one human ship. Inside the Imperial flagship, no one spoke. They had prepared for war with humanity. Instead, humanity had shielded them from destruction. Rex slowly opened the communication channel. "You had the power to destroy us," he said. Adam nodded once. "Yes." "Why did you not?" Adam's answer was simple. "Because that was never the mission." The Empire had expected invasion. They had prepared for fleets. But today, one human ship had shown something far more powerful than numbers. It had shown control. And it had chosen restraint. The truth behind one ship. The battlefield was quiet again. Wreckage from the hostile fleet drifted slowly through space. A few damaged Imperial ships were being repaired. Emergency crews worked calmly now that the danger had passed. At the center of it all, the human vessel horizon remained steady. It had not chased the retreating enemy. It had not demanded praise. It simply held position. Inside the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex stood near the main viewing screen. His officers were no longer whispering in fear. Now they were speaking in low, serious voices. "They protected us. With technology we do not understand. And they came alone." Rex understood something important now. The human ship was not reckless. It was confident. He opened a secure communication channel. "Captain Adam," he said, "I request a private discussion." On the screen, the human captain appeared again. "Accepted," Adam replied calmly. The connection shifted to a secure line. Only a few senior officers remained on each side. Rex spoke first. "You could have allowed the hostile fleet to destroy us." "Yes," Adam said. "You could have destroyed us yourself." "Yes." Rex narrowed his eyes slightly. "Then explain why you did not." Adam folded his hands behind his back. "Because this ship was not sent to conquer," he said. "It was sent to prevent war." Rex listened carefully. "The Horizon is not a standard warship," Adam continued. "It is a peace enforcement vessel." Rex frowned. "Peace by overwhelming force." "Peace by certainty," Adam corrected. He continued speaking in the same steady tone. "Humanity learned long ago that large fleets create fear. Fear leads to panic. Panic leads to war." Rex did not argue. He had seen it himself many times. "So, instead," Adam said, "we built ships that do not need fleets." Rex looked at the data screen beside him. Energy readings from the Horizon were still higher than anything in Imperial records. "How many ships like yours exist?" Rex asked. Adam did not hesitate. "Enough." The simple answer carried weight. Rex leaned back slightly. "You expected us to fire first," he said. Adam gave a small nod. "Yes. And if we had not fired, then this ship would have left peacefully." Rex was silent for several seconds. The Empire had chosen to fire.
Twice.
Then with full power. And still, the human vessel had shown restraint. Why risk sending only one? Rex asked finally. Adam looked directly at him. Because sending more would have guaranteed war. Those words settled heavily in the command room. Outside, repair drones moved between Imperial ships. The Empire had survived because of the very vessel they had tried to destroy. Rex changed the subject slightly. "The hostile fleet," he said. "Who were they?" "Our intelligence calls them raiders," Adam replied. "They watch powerful empires. They wait for weakness. And they believed we would weaken each other." "Yes." Rex exhaled slowly. "They almost succeeded." Adam nodded once. But they did not. There was no pride in his voice. Only fact. Rex felt something shift inside him. The Empire had ruled for centuries through strength and fear. Humanity ruled differently, through controlled strength. The difference was clear. Suddenly, a message came from Imperial High Command. "Admiral," an officer said quietly, "the Emperor wishes to speak directly with a human captain." Rex looked at Adam on the screen. "Will you accept?" "Yes," Adam replied. Moments later, the Emperor appeared on the shared channel. He studied the human captain carefully. "You demonstrated power beyond expectation," the Emperor said. Adam remained respectful, but steady. "We demonstrated restraint." The Emperor considered that. "You could have ended my fleet." "Yes." "And you chose not to." "Yes." Silence followed. The Emperor's expression softened slightly. "Why send only one ship?" Adam answered clearly. "If we send fleets, it means we have decided war is unavoidable." He paused. "If we send one ship, it means we believe there is still a choice." The Emperor leaned forward. "You gave us that choice. And we fired." Adam did not react emotionally. "You acted based on fear. That is understandable." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Your vessels saved my fleet today." "Yes." "And you ask nothing in return?" Adam shook his head. "We ask only that you reconsider your preparations for war against humanity." The Emperor looked toward Admiral Rex briefly, then back at Adam. "And if we do not?" Adam's reply was simple. "Then next time, we will not send just one." The meaning was clear. The Emperor studied him for a long moment. Then he spoke. "The Empire does not forget power. And it does not forget mercy." Adam inclined his head slightly. "That is good." The transmission ended. Inside the Imperial flagship, no one felt anger anymore. They felt caution and respect. The Empire had been ready for war. They had expected fleets. Instead, they had faced one ship that did not fear them. One ship that could crush fleets. One ship that chose not to. And now, for the first time in generations, the Empire began to question its own path. Because if one human vessel could change the balance of power, what would happen if humanity ever decided not to be patient? A test of trust. The system was quiet, but not peaceful. Imperial repair ships moved between damaged cruisers. Small fires were extinguished. Engineers worked without rest. The battle against the raiders had ended quickly, but it had shaken the Empire deeply. At the center of the formation, the human ship Horizon remained still. It did not patrol. It did not demand payment. It simply waited. Inside the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex stood near the large observation window. He watched the lone vessel carefully. An officer approached him. "Admiral, several commanders are requesting permission to reposition away from the human ship." Rex did not turn. "They are afraid," he said quietly. "Yes, sir." Rex could not blame them. The Horizon had absorbed the Empire's strongest weapons and crushed an enemy command ship in seconds. Fear was natural, but fear could lead to another mistake. "Deny the request," Rex said firmly. "We maintain formation." The officer nodded and left. Rex knew this was a test. Not a test of power, a test of trust. Inside the Horizon, Captain Adams stood calmly as reports flowed in. "Imperial ship stabilizing," the tactical officer said. "Energy levels?" Adam asked. "Back to standard. No aggressive charging detected." Adam nodded. "They are watching us carefully," another officer said. "Yes," Adam replied. "As they should." The engineer stepped forward. "Captain, long-range sensors picking up faint hyperspace signatures." Adam turned. "From the same direction as the raiders?" "Yes." The bridge became tense. "How many?" Adam asked. "Unclear. Signals are scattered." Adam thought for a moment. "Inform Admiral Rex immediately." On the Imperial flagship, the warning arrived seconds later. "New hyperspace traces detected," a sensor officer reported. Rex felt the tension rise again. Are the raiders returning? Possibly reinforcements. Rex glanced at the screen showing the human ship. This time, he did not hesitate. "Open joint tactical channel with the human vessel." The channel connected instantly. Adam appeared. "You detected it as well," Rex said. "Yes," Adam replied. "The raiders are testing the system again." "Why?" Rex asked. "Because they think we will not coordinate." Rex understood. The raiders hoped distrust would weaken them. "Imperial fleet ready for engagement," Rex said firmly. "Will you assist?" Adam's answer was immediate. "Yes." This time, there was no pride, no argument. Just cooperation. Minutes later, hyperspace ripples appeared at the edge of the system. More hostile ships emerged. Not as many as before, but enough to be dangerous. "They came back quickly," an Imperial officer said. "They believe we are divided," Rex replied. The raider fleet formed an attack wedge, targeting the outer Imperial ships first.
But something was different this time.
The Imperial fleet did not scatter. They held formation. And the Horizon moved forward without hesitation. "Human vessel advancing," an officer reported. Rex watched carefully. "Maintain synchronized targeting," he ordered. The raiders opened fire. Bright beams crossed space again. Before the attacks could strike, the Horizon expanded its spatial field, but this time, it was narrower and focused. Instead of covering the entire Imperial fleet, it created corridors of safe passage. Imperial ships, adjust formation through marked vectors. Adam instructed over the shared channel. Rex saw glowing paths appear on his tactical display. For a brief moment he hesitated. Then he trusted. All ships, follow human guidance. Imperial cruisers shifted into the safe corridors. Raider fire bent away or vanished as before. For the first time, the Empire moved based on human strategy. The raiders seemed confused. They did not expect this coordination, an Imperial officer observed. "Press the advantage," Rex ordered. Imperial cannons fired in tight, organized volleys. The raider ships took heavy damage quickly. Inside the horizon, Adam gave another command. Target propulsion systems only. Yes, Captain. A focused gravity wave shot across the battlefield. Several raider ships suddenly lost engine power. They drifted helplessly. The rest of the hostile fleet began retreating immediately. Within minutes, hyperspace signatures flashed again. The raiders fled. The system grew quiet once more. No Imperial ships were destroyed this time. Damage was minimal. On the Imperial flagship, officers looked at each other in disbelief. That was coordinated, one said. Yes, Rex replied. He turned toward the screen where the human ship remained steady. Open channel. Adam appeared again. You adapted quickly, Adam said. Rex gave a small nod. You provided clear guidance. Adam's expression remained calm. Trust improves survival rates. Rex allowed himself the smallest hint of a smile. Indeed. There was a pause between them. Then Rex spoke honestly. When you first arrived, I believed your presence was a threat. That was expected, Adam replied. And now? Adam asked. Rex looked at the quiet battlefield. Now I believe your presence prevented something far worse. Adam did not respond immediately. Finally, he said, then this mission is progressing. Rex understood something clearly. The raiders would return again someday. Other threats would rise.
But today had changed something.
The Empire had prepared for war against humanity. Instead, they had fought beside them. One human ship had entered Imperial space. Not to dominate, not to conquer, but to prove that power did not always need numbers. And as Admiral Rex looked at the lone vessel floating calmly among his fleet, he realized something important. The Empire had feared human strength. Now they were beginning to respect human discipline. And that was far more powerful. The price of power. The system remained calm for 3 days. Imperial repair crews worked without rest. Damaged hulls were sealed. Weapons were recalibrated. Crews who had expected war with humanity now spoke differently. They spoke of the human ship with quiet respect. The horizon still floated near the center of the fleet. It had not asked for supplies. It had not requested territory. It simply remained present. Inside the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex studied long-range reports. Any sign of the raiders? He asked. None detected within scanning range, a sensor officer replied. Rex nodded slowly. That did not mean safety. Raiders were patient. Before he could speak again, a sharp alarm echoed through the bridge. Massive hyperspace rupture detected, someone shouted. Rex turned sharply. Location? Directly above the outer defense ring. The main screen filled with violent distortions in space. This was not like before. This was larger. Much larger. A single enormous warship emerged from hyperspace. It was nearly 3 times the size of the largest Imperial dreadnought.
Dark.
Armored. Covered in heavy weapons. That is not a raider cruiser, a tactical officer whispered. It is their flagship, Rex said quietly. Moments later, dozens of smaller raider vessels followed it. The true force had arrived. Inside the horizon, alarms flashed across the bridge. Energy output from enemy flagship is extreme, the tactical officer reported. Adam's eyes focused on the display. They waited to gather strength, he said. Yes, Captain. The raider flagship fired first. A massive beam of condensed plasma tore across space and struck an Imperial cruiser. The cruiser's shield shattered instantly. Its hull cracked apart. It exploded. On the Imperial flagship, shock spread across the bridge. That was one shot, an officer said. Rex felt the weight of it. Return fire, he ordered. Imperial cannons launched volleys at the enemy flagship. The shots struck its heavy armor, but caused little damage. It is too strong, someone muttered. The raider fleet advanced aggressively. Explosions lit up space as Imperial ships struggled to hold formation. Inside the horizon, Adam made a decision. All systems to maximum output, he ordered calmly. The engineer looked up sharply. Captain, that will push the core beyond recommended limits. I am aware. Energy readings inside the human ship climbed rapidly. The vessel began to glow brighter than before. Space around it twisted violently. Expanding full spatial field, the engineer reported. A massive distortion wave spread outward from the horizon, blocking incoming fire aimed at the Imperial fleet. Beams bent away. Missiles vanished. But the Raider flagship continued advancing. It fired again, this time directly at the human vessel. The beam struck the distortion field. For a brief moment, the field flickered. On the human bridge, warning lights turned red. Core stress rising, the engineer shouted. 95%. Adam did not flinch. Prepare gravity compression strike, he said. That will drain half our reserves, the tactical officer warned. Yes. Outside, the Raider flagship charged another shot. Adam raised his hand. Fire. A deep vibration rolled outward from the horizon. Unlike the earlier focus strike, this wave was enormous. Space itself folded inward toward the Raider flagship. The massive enemy ship tried to resist, engines burning at full power. It was not enough. The gravity compression field crushed inward. Armor bent. Hull plates snapped. Internal explosions rippled across its surface. Finally, the gigantic vessel collapsed under its own weight. It imploded violently, disappearing in a storm of debris. The remaining Raider ships froze for a second. Then panic spread through their formation. Imperial cannons seized the opportunity. Volley after volley struck the scattered Raider vessels. Within minutes, the surviving enemies fled into hyperspace. The system fell silent again. But this time, the silence felt heavy. Inside the horizon, alarms continued flashing. Core stability failing, the engineer reported. We are overheating. Shut down external projection, Adam ordered. The distortion field around the ship faded slowly. Energy levels dropped, but not enough. Captain, the core was not designed for sustained output at that level, the engineer said urgently. Adam nodded. Redirect remaining energy into stabilization. Across the Imperial fleet, ships regained stable control. On the Imperial flagship, Rex stared at the screen. The Raider flagship was gone. Destroyed by one ship. But the human vessel now drifted slightly, its glow fading unevenly. Admiral, a sensor officer said quietly, the human ship's power levels are unstable. Rex's expression changed. They pushed too far, he said. Inside the horizon, warning sirens echoed. Core breach probability rising, the engineer warned. Adam remained calm, but his voice grew firm. All hands, emergency stabilization protocol. Crew members moved quickly. They had won the battle, but victory had come at a cost. Outside, Imperial ships moved closer, not to attack, to assist. For the first time, the Empire was not watching the human ship with fear. They were watching with concern. One human vessel had stood against a fleet twice. It had crushed the strongest enemy ship in seconds. It had protected the Empire again. But now it was vulnerable. And Admiral Rex realized something important. Power always carried a price. Even for a ship that could bend space itself. The Empire had expected war. They had prepared for invasion. Instead, one human ship had fought for them. And now, as alarms echoed inside the horizon, the question was no longer about strength. It was about survival. The cost of restraint. The battlefield was quiet, but inside the human ship horizon, chaos was rising. Red warning lights flashed across the bridge. The steady hum of the ship's core had changed into a deep, unstable vibration. Core temperature exceeding safety limits, the engineer reported. Containment field weakening. Captain Adams stood firm in the center of the bridge. Estimated time to breach, he asked calmly. 6 minutes, maybe less. Outside, the Imperial fleet moved closer. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex listened to the latest sensor readings. The human vessel's energy output is collapsing, a scientist said. If their core fails at this level, the explosion could damage half our fleet. Rex did not hesitate. Transmit assistance request. An officer blinked. Assistance for them? Yes, Rex said firmly. They protected us. We will not abandon them. The message reached the horizon quickly. Inside the human bridge, a communication alert appeared. Imperial fleet offering engineering support, the communications officer said. Adam looked at the screen for a moment. They are moving repair vessels toward us, the tactical officer added. The engineer spoke urgently. Captain, we may not stabilize the core alone. Adam gave a small nod. Accept assistance. That decision changed everything. Imperial engineering ships approached carefully. Their crews were trained for hull repairs and shield maintenance, not for technology that bent space. But they came anyway. Docking clamps locked onto the outer hull of the Horizon. Inside one of the Imperial repair ships, Chief Engineer Leo prepared his team. We are entering unknown technology, he told them. Stay alert. The airlock opened. Imperial engineers stepped into the human vessel for the first time. They were surprised by what they saw. The interior was clean, organized, simple. No gold decorations. No unnecessary displays.
Just focused design.
Human engineers greeted them quickly. No time for introductions, one human officer said. Follow me. They moved together toward the core chamber. Inside the core room, space itself seemed unstable. The power core floated inside a containment ring, glowing bright white. Distortions rippled around it like waves in water. Spatial compression matrix overloaded, the human engineer explained quickly. We pushed beyond sustained output. Leo studied the readings. You absorbed too much energy, he said. Yes, the human replied. Leo shook his head slightly. That kind of power, why build something so extreme? The human engineer looked at him. To avoid building fleets. There was no pride in his voice. Only truth. Alarms grew louder. Containment failure in 4 minutes, someone warned. Leo stepped closer to the control panel. Your system is fighting itself, he said. You are stabilizing gravity in multiple layers. Yes. Then stop fighting it. The human engineer frowned. Explain. Leo spoke quickly. Instead of forcing control, let the outer field collapse safely. Reduce strain gradually. The human officers exchanged looks. It will temporarily weaken our defensive capability, one said. Adam's voice came through the intercom. Do it. Without hesitation, both human and Imperial engineers began working side by side. Energy levels fluctuated wildly. The core brightness dimmed slightly. Containment stabilizing at 80%, someone reported. 3 minutes remaining, another voice said. Sweat formed on Leo's forehead. This design is incredible, he muttered quietly. And dangerous. The human engineer beside him gave a small smile. Yes. Outside, Imperial ships kept safe distance, but stayed close enough to assist if needed. Admiral Rex watched every update. How close are they? He asked. Core instability reducing slowly, a scientist replied. They might succeed. Rex folded his arms. He thought back to when he had ordered full assault against this very ship. Now, he was hoping it would survive. Inside the core chamber, alarms finally began to fade. Containment at 60% and steady, a technician reported. Temperature dropping, another said. Leo exhaled deeply. It will hold, he said. The bright white glow of the core softened into a controlled blue light. The vibration across the ship eased. On the bridge, Captain Adam received confirmation. Core stabilized, the engineer announced. Adam allowed himself a slow breath. Stand down emergency protocols. Across the Imperial fleet, tension eased. Admiral Rex watched as the human ship's energy readings returned to normal levels. They survived, an officer said quietly. Yes, Rex replied. Moments later, a communication channel opened. Adam appeared on screen again. The core is stable, he said. Thanks to your engineers. Rex nodded once. You saved us in battle. It was appropriate. Adam gave a small nod. For the record, Rex continued, you could have left us to face the raiders alone. Yes. And you could have refused our help. Yes. A brief silence followed. Rex finally said, perhaps sending only one ship was not arrogance. Adam's voice remained steady. It was restraint. The battlefield had changed. The power balance had changed. But something more important had shifted as well.
Trust.
One human ship had entered Imperial space alone. It had fought twice. It had nearly destroyed itself protecting others. And when it needed help, it accepted it. For the first time, the Empire no longer saw the horizon as a threat. They saw it as something else.
A guardian.
And that realization carried more weight than any fleet ever could. The message to the galaxy. The system was calm again. The wreckage of the Raider flagship had been cleared. Imperial repair ships returned to their carriers. The horizon floated quietly at the center of the fleet, its core stable but running at low output. Inside the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex stood before a large holographic display of the sector. Reports were coming in from nearby systems. Raider activity dropping across border regions, a communications officer said. Several minor factions are retreating. Rex nodded slowly. They have heard, he said. News traveled fast in the galaxy. The destruction of a massive Raider flagship by a single human vessel was not something that stayed secret for long. Fear had shifted, but fear alone was not enough. Admiral, another officer said, the Emperor requests a strategic council, including the human captain. Rex turned. Prepare joint channel. Inside the horizon, Captain Adam received the invitation. Joint Strategic Council? His tactical officer asked. Yes, Adam replied calmly. This was always the next step. The channel opened. The Emperor appeared, along with several high-ranking Imperial officials. Adam stood alone on his side of the transmission. The Emperor spoke first. The destruction of the Raider flagship has spread across multiple systems, he said. Your ship's capabilities are now known. Adam nodded slightly. That was not the primary goal, he said. Yet it may become the most important result, the Emperor replied. A map of nearby star systems appeared between them. Several neutral worlds are requesting clarification, one Imperial advisor said. They fear escalation between our empires. Rex spoke calmly. They believe this was the beginning of a larger war. Adam answered clearly. It was the prevention of one. The Emperor studied him carefully. You sent one ship to deliver a message, he said. Yes. And what is that message? Adam's voice remained steady. That power does not need to dominate. Silence filled the channel for a moment. The Emperor leaned forward slightly. The galaxy respects strength, he said. Not restraint. Adam shook his head gently. Restraint backed by strength is stronger. Rex felt the truth in those words. The Raiders had attacked because they believed the Empire and humanity would weaken each other. Instead, they had shown unity. That message mattered. The Emperor made a decision. Then we will broadcast a joint declaration, he said. Several Imperial advisors looked surprised. Majesty, one asked. The Emperor continued firmly. We will announce that the Empire and humanity have resolved their tensions peacefully. We will declare a defensive understanding against hostile forces. Adam listened carefully. You are willing to state this publicly? He asked. Yes, the Emperor replied. Because your ship has proven its capability. And your actions have proven your intent. Rex glanced toward Adam. This changes the balance of power, Rex said. Adam answered simply. That was always true. Hours later, a transmission went out across nearby systems. Imperial and human signals carried the same message. There would be no war between them. Any hostile fleet attacking one would face both. In distant systems, minor warlords reconsidered their plans. Small pirate groups changed routes. Even powerful factions began to calculate differently. One human ship had not only won battles, it had changed strategy across the region. Inside the horizon, the crew gathered quietly on the bridge. Joint declaration confirmed, the communications officer said. Reactions? Adam asked. Mixed. Some fear alliance. Others welcome stability. Adam nodded. That is expected. The engineer approached him. Captain, the core is fully stable now. We can return to standard patrol operations. Adam looked at the stars beyond the viewport. Prepare departure sequence. The bridge grew quiet. You are leaving? A crew member asked. Yes. What about the Imperial fleet? Adam answered calmly. They do not need us here anymore. On the Imperial flagship, Rex received the notification. The human vessel is preparing to depart. Rex felt a strange sense of emptiness. Open channel. Adam appeared one last time. You are leaving our territory, Rex said. Yes. Will you return? Adam paused slightly. If necessary. Rex allowed a faint smile. I hope it will not be necessary. Adam inclined his head. As do I. There was one final moment of silence between them. Rex spoke honestly. When you first arrived, I believed you came as a threat. That was reasonable, Adam replied. And now? Adam looked directly at him. Now you know why we sent only one. The horizon began to glow faintly as hyperspace engines activated. Imperial ships moved aside respectfully. The lone vessel that had entered surrounded by enemies was now departing surrounded by allies. Space rippled. The ship vanished into hyperspace. On the Imperial bridge, officers watched the empty space where it had been. Rex stood quietly. The Empire had prepared for war. They had mobilized fleets and charged weapons. But one human ship had arrived instead. One ship that could destroy fleets. One ship that chose not to. And in doing so, it had reshaped the future of the region. Rex looked at the stars beyond the viewport. He understood something clearly now. True power was not in numbers. It was in control. And sometimes, one ship was enough. Shadows beyond the border. The horizon traveled through hyperspace in silence. Inside the ship, systems operated at low power. The crew moved calmly through their routines. Repairs were complete. The core was stable again. But Captain Adam did not feel finished. He stood on the bridge, watching shifting light patterns of hyperspace. Long-range scans, he asked. Clear along Imperial border, the tactical officer replied. No hostile movement detected. Adam nodded slowly. Extend scan range beyond known raider territory. The officer looked slightly surprised. Yes, Captain. Minutes passed. Then a faint signal appeared. Captain, the sensor officer said carefully, detecting unusual energy signatures far beyond raider space. Type. Large-scale construction. Multiple power sources. Adam's eyes sharpened. Show me. A distant image formed on the main display. It was unclear, but shapes were visible. Massive structures. Ships larger than the destroyed raider flagship. And they were not scattered. They were organized. Inside the horizon, silence fell. This is not random piracy, the tactical officer said quietly. No, Adam agreed. This is preparation. Back in Imperial space, Admiral Rex received a secure transmission. It was not public. Not part of any Alliance channel. It came directly from the horizon. Rex activated it immediately. Adam appeared on screen. You have already left our territory, Rex said. Why contact us? Adam spoke calmly. Because the threat is larger than raiders. Rex's expression grew serious. Explain. A holographic image appeared between them. Rex studied it carefully. Those ships, that is not raider design, he said. No, Adam replied. It is something else. Rex turned to his intelligence officers. Any data on this region? Very limited, one officer admitted. We believed it was uninhabited. Adam continued. It is inhabited. The simple words felt heavy. Rex folded his arms. How powerful. Adam answered directly. More powerful than the raiders. Rex felt tension rise again. And you discovered this after leaving our system? Yes. Why tell us? Rex asked. Adam did not hesitate. Because if they expand, both our territories are in range. The truth was clear. This was not about pride. Not about old tension. This was survival. Inside the Imperial Council chamber, the Emperor reviewed the data. Is this confirmed? He asked. Rex nodded. The human ship sensors are advanced. I trust the readings. The Emperor considered this carefully. And humanity? They are observing, Rex replied. For now. The Emperor looked thoughtful. They sent one ship to prevent war between us. Yes. And now they warn us of something greater. Yes. The Emperor stood slowly. Perhaps one ship was not only a message. Rex understood. It was also a scout. Inside the horizon, Adam studied the distant fleet again. They were building something. A gate structure. Large enough for massive fleet deployment. Estimated completion? Adam asked. Unknown, the sensor officer replied. But progress appears advanced. Adam turned to his crew. If that gate activates, they can bypass border routes. The engineer spoke quietly. That would place them directly near Imperial and human systems. Yes. The crew understood the danger. Adam opened a secure channel back to humanity's command. Situation report transmitted, he said. A reply came minutes later. Observe. Do not engage. Await further orders. Adam closed the channel. He understood the logic. One ship could send a message. But against an unknown empire? That was different. Back in Imperial space, Rex received another private message from Adam. If the threat advances, Adam said calmly, your fleet alone will not stop it. Rex looked at the image again. He knew that was true. And one ship will not be enough either, Rex replied. Adam gave a small nod.
No.
Silence followed. For the first time, both commanders faced something neither had expected. A power that might not fear restraint. A force that might not respect warning. Rex finally spoke. If this becomes war, will humanity send more than one? Adam's answer was steady. Yes. The word carried weight. Rex did not smile. He did not fear. He simply accepted the truth. The galaxy was changing. The raiders had been only shadows. Beyond them was something larger. Something organized. Something patient. The horizon drifted at the edge of unknown space, watching a distant empire prepare. And this time, the mission was no longer about proving strength. It was about preparing for what might come next. The empire had once feared one human ship. Now they hoped that if war came, it would not come alone. Not just one anymore. The unknown fleet did not hide anymore. Over the next few days, the massive gate structure near their territory became clearer. It was almost complete. Giant metal rings floated in space, connected by energy beams that pulsed like a heartbeat. Inside the horizon, Captain Adams stood on the bridge, watching the final stages of construction. Energy readings increasing, the sensor officer reported. They are preparing activation. Adam nodded slowly. Transmit final warning to Imperial Command. In Imperial space, Admiral Rex received the alert. The gate will activate within hours, he read aloud. The Emperor stood beside him in the command chamber. How large is this force? The Emperor asked. Larger than anything we have faced, Rex replied honestly. Can the human ship stop it alone? Rex did not hesitate.
No.
The Emperor turned toward the stars beyond the viewport. Then we prepare. Imperial fleets began mobilizing across multiple systems. This time, not to threaten humanity, but to stand with them. Inside the horizon, a secure channel opened from human command. Adam listened carefully. Additional units are en route, the message confirmed. The tactical officer looked up sharply. How many, Captain? Adam answered quietly. More than one. For the first time since entering Imperial space, the horizon was no longer alone. Far beyond the border, the unknown gate structure flared bright white. Energy surged through its rings. Space twisted violently at its center. Then it opened. A massive tear formed in reality. The first warship emerged. It was larger than the raider flagship that had once threatened the Empire. Then another followed. And another. Inside the horizon, alarms sounded. Multiple capital-class vessels exiting the gate, the sensor officer reported. Count. Adam asked. 10, 20 more behind them. Adam kept his voice calm. Moved to defensive position. The horizon advanced alone toward the growing fleet. Behind it, hyperspace ripples began appearing. Imperial ships exited first. Dozens of cruisers and carriers formed battle lines. Moments later, new hyperspace signatures appeared again. Sleek human vessels emerged one by one. Not 300, not thousands, but enough. Enough to change the equation. On the Imperial flagship, Rex watched in silence as human ships formed formation beside his fleet. You were right, Rex said quietly as he opened a channel to Adam. This time, one is not enough. Adam's face appeared on screen. Yes. The unknown fleet completed deployment. Their formation was tight and disciplined. No wasted movement. No hesitation. They are not raiders, Rex said. No, Adam replied. They are an empire. The first enemy volley came without warning. Massive beams crossed space toward the Allied fleets. Imperial and human ships responded together. This time, the horizon did not expand its full distortion field alone. Instead, smaller gravity shields activated across multiple human ships. The battlefield lit up with controlled bursts of energy. Imperial cannons fired in synchronized waves. Human vessels used precision gravity strikes to disable engines and weapons. The enemy ships were powerful, but they had not expected unity. One of the unknown capital ships targeted the horizon directly. Adam watched calmly. Focus strike, he ordered. 3 nearby human ships aligned with the horizon. Together, they projected a combined gravity compression beam. Space bent sharply around the enemy vessel. Its armor resisted for a moment, then cracked. The ship collapsed inward and vanished. The Allied fleets advanced. Imperial warships held the line with heavy firepower. Human vessels struck key targets with careful precision. The unknown fleet began losing coordination. Their gate structure flickered behind them. They had not expected resistance like this. After hours of battle, the enemy formation broke. One by one, their ships retreated back through the unstable gate. The final capital vessel fired a desperate shot, then vanished into hyperspace. The gate structure dimmed, then collapsed. Silence returned. Across the battlefield, damaged ships drifted, but the Alliance remained standing. Inside the Imperial flagship, Rex exhaled slowly. We held, an officer whispered. Yes, Rex said. He opened a channel to Adam. You said sending one ship meant there was still a choice. Adam nodded. Yes. And today? Adam looked at the combined fleets around him. Today, there was no choice. Rex allowed himself a small smile. But you did not send a fleet to conquer. No. You sent enough to defend. Yes. The Emperor joined the channel briefly. The galaxy will hear of this, he said. An alliance forged in restraint and proven in battle. Adam gave a respectful nod. That was always the purpose. As repair teams began moving across both fleets, the reality settled in. It had started with fear. The Empire had prepared for war against humanity. They had expected invasion. They had surrounded one ship. But that one ship had refused to be the beginning of war. It had been the beginning of understanding. And when the true threat arrived, it was no longer just one.
It was unity.
The stars beyond the battlefield looked calmer now. The message was clear to anyone watching. Humanity did not send fleets to intimidate. They sent one ship to offer peace. And when peace was no longer an option, they sent enough to protect it.